Hi, I'm Brad Sugars and welcome to this session of the Business Basics. You know, what we're going to look at today is about the strategy that I believe people should use when they're getting into business, and that is to buy it, build it and sell it. You know, most people go into business to buy themselves a job. My theory is that there's a different way of doing business. We buy it, we build it and we sell it to someone else. We buy the business. We buy a setup. We've already talked about that on previous videos. If you haven't seen those, please go back and watch them. We build the business. We get in there, we increase the sales, we increase the revenues, we increase the profitability to increase the value of the business, and then we put it up for sale. There's more money made. See, if you think about it very, very simply, the value of the business is going to be a multiple of the profit. So let's say the multiple is even only 2 years. Let's imagine that. So I can get paid 2 years worth of profit right now, or I can wait around and collect it over the next 2 years and keep working. If I get paid the 2 years profit right now, can I then go and buy another business and build another one up and get the same 2 years profit again in another year from now after building it, or 6 months or however long it takes? So you're using that capital far more wisely when you draw it out and reinvest it. Don't just draw it out, reinvest it, get into another business is always a great way to go. Now, I've got some rules. To be an investor, you've got to have rules. It's as simple as that. So let me go over my 8 rules that I want to cover today with you about buying a business. Number 1, the business has to be surviving despite itself. Now let me put that very, very simply. I call this my stupid owner rule. The owner has to be completely stupid. You know, if you're going to buy the business from someone who's an absolute genius and they've done a spectacular job and built an amazing business, then chances are the only thing you're going to do is run it further down, not build it up. I want to buy a business from someone who, you know, with common sense, I know I can build the business. With common sense, I know I can get a far better result into this business. So I want to buy a business where it's surviving because of location or because of unique product or because of some reason. It's just surviving, not because of the service or because of the marketing or because of anything else. It's surviving because, well, it just is. Second thing I want to do, when I buy a business, this is for me personally, it's my specialty area, is I only buy cash flow businesses, not fixed asset businesses. I don't necessarily want to go and buy a manufacturing plant. Let's imagine I could choose between an air conditioning manufacturing company or an air conditioning installation and service company. I would always buy the installation and service company because for me, I then don't have capital assets tied up with my cash. So I'm using my cash to buy cash flow. I'm not using my cash to buy a depreciable asset that will go down in value and I'll need to replace it over time. That to me doesn't make much sense. I would rather buy a cash flow stream that I can improve and therefore I can increase the amount of value I have in that business. Third one, I want a business that's low skill staffing. Now, what do I mean by low skill staffing? You see, one of the challenges in most businesses is that they have a need to have really good quality people. My theory is that it should be the other way around. Our goal in business is to have majority of the team on the company to be low skill. I don't want to have to rely upon all high skill people all the time. Of course you're going to need some high skill people in your company, but I want the majority of the people to not have to be super high skill. Very important aspect to keep my wage costs down, but also so that I can get people when I need them. I don't want to be held to ransom by one superstar within the company. It definitely can hurt a company. I've seen it happen many times before. Point number 4, the product or service needs to be a staple or what I call a repeat business product or service. So you look at hairdressing, you know, every 4 to 6 weeks. You look at dog food, it's every day they've got to feed the dog. So I'm looking for businesses where once I've got a customer, they just keep coming back and buying from me fairly regularly at least, but hopefully very regularly. It's an important aspect to look at that I want repeat business in any business that I buy. Point number 5, there's got to be a large growth potential. You know, I've got to be able to see, like I mentioned a hairdressing salon. Would I go and buy a hairdressing salon that has 8 chairs and all 8 chairs are full 8, 10 hours a day? Not a chance. There's no use buying that. There's no room for upside. You know, to increase the value of the business, I've got to be able to increase sales. So I've got to be able to look for something where I can increase the amount of money that is coming in the till, therefore I can increase the value of the business. And I'd rather that was a large upside, not a small one. So scalability is a very important factor here, gang. We've got to make sure that we've got that upward growth. Next rule, I think, what are we up to? Rule number 6. The current marketing has to be either non-existent or fairly bad. I don't want to buy a business from a marketing genius, someone who's tried and tested every type of marketing that there is to make sure that, well, if it's going to work, I know what works. I really want to have someone whose idea of marketing is, yeah, we put an ad in the Yellow Pages once. I want someone who doesn't know what they're doing with marketing. They've got a database of past customers and never written to them before. That type of a person that really shouldn't be allowed to run a business, but they are, and they've set it up for us to go in there and buy and do a great job with. Finally, I want to get points 7 and 8. Number 7 is that for me, now I don't do these anymore where I go and run them myself, but I've got to have someone in charge who is great at building businesses. Not just someone who's great at cutting hair if it's a hair salon, but someone who's great at building businesses and helping teams grow and helping people make more sales and that sort of thing, because that's ultimately going to be the job of the manager of the business for me. So that's really what I'm looking for. And finally, point 8. This one's really important, and I can't really stress this one enough, other than to say, listen, if you do a deal that you think, geez, I could send this to Brad and he'd actually be really proud of me sending this through. I started negotiation, Brad, when they were at $750,000. I ended up buying the business for $200,000. If you do things like that where it's very exciting and you think, geez, I could send Brad this, then you're doing a good deal. See, if it's not your deal, if it's their deal, they put the price up, they do everything, and you just negotiate down from the price, you've just lost. Buying a business is a zero-sum game. In other words, you start with zero financing. So what's it worth? Nothing. Now prove to me every dollar it's worth over and above zero. Too often business people make offers based upon the set price. Well, the problem is most people don't know how to actually set the price of a business. If I asked 10 accountants to set the price of 10 businesses, guess what? Not one would have the same price. Not one. They just don't do it. So keep all these things in mind. But ultimately, last lesson on this one. In buying a business, there's one key fundamental emotion that has to be in your mind, and that's patience. You've got to wait and wait and wait. You'll only do one in about 100 deals that you look at, so don't get too fast. That itchy trigger finger will kill you in this. Have some patience. Wait until you see enough great deals that you know when the spectacular one comes along. I'm Brad Sugars, and these are the Business Basics.